movies, TVs, blogs, and more. This is Blogger's Corner with Britt and Dr. Bones.
Hi, I'm Britt from EclecticPop.com, and welcome to a new episode of Blogger's Corner on the Dr. Bones Show, and welcome the host with the most, Dr. Bones. How are you doing today, Dr. Bones?
I'm very well. How about yourself, Britt?
I'm doing good.
So, first off, we're going to get to the news shows in just a minute. I'm just going to talk about Witches really quick. I know you didn't see it, but like I was telling you off air, you really didn't miss too much. It was kind of a frail ending for the season, personally. I mean, now we got to wait 6 months or however long it is to see if they come out and kind of hit hard, because essentially what it came down to is we know that Freya, Wendy, and Joanna went back in the past to get this box that she used on Freya once. It killed her, but to separate a demon that she and Killian, who was Edgar Allan Poe in the past, called from the dead, and she was able to separate the demon from the body, but it ended up killing her. So she wanted to get this box so she could send the grandfather back to Asgard and kind of away forever. And of course, they go through the whole thing, so they kind of see what happened. And what happened was, at this period in time, they were running a burlesque house. Joanna was heavily addicted to opium, and so they show that aspect of it. And then finally at the end, obviously, even though Joanna just killed Freya, the Joanna from the future, the best way to put it, is was a bit easy for the taking, because she was just still really drugged up. So it was easy to take this box. And then, of course, what happens? One of the grandfather's henchmen stops her and grabs the box from her. Obviously, it couldn't be that easy. And then he kidnaps her. He hasn't heard it yet, but essentially, I'm guessing he pumped her full of opium because he knocked her out for a while. And they pretty much just kind of left it at that. They left a bunch of open-ended questions, but it was not the finale I was hoping for.
I'm bummed to hear that.
So I'm hoping that, like I said, next season will be a lot better, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, I mean, I know nobody talk a little bit more about the show, but there really wasn't that much going on. It really was not that interesting of an episode.
I hear you. Well, one question is, okay, if the show doesn't get picked up, which I heard that the ratings, unfortunately, were not super strong. So will people who tuning in feel any kind of closure whatsoever if this is the end of Witches of East End?
Not really, because, I mean, everybody's still alive and kicking. I mean, and Killian's obviously drank that juice stupidly, and sees Frey in a dream, and she tells him she's alive, so he finds out that she's alive, and he's just having these weird pretty much reactions to this potion he drank. So, and they're not. He just one of those things like, I want to be with her, but can't, even though this is supposed to break the cycle. And it didn't explain too much. I mean, they kind of left it. They left a lot of things open. So no closure at all. Just be kind of like, oh well, yeah.
I mean, I really hate when shows do that, especially if they know that they're kind of on the borderline. They could not get picked up. And, I mean, I see, definitely leave something for viewers to be curious about if you get another season pickup. But I hate when they leave so many things in limbo.
Well, that's it. And that's why a lot of these shows fail, is because they don't do well. They didn't have a good storyline, or they leave things open-ended. Like, way too much. I mean, it's one thing to leave some things to the imagination, but they're just way too much.
Right.
And they've got kind of 2 or 3 stories kind of wrapped up into one, which can work well provided it's done the right way. And they're kind of on the right track, but not quite.
Okay. Do you think there was one particular misstep that led to, the show being in such a gray area for pickup?
Well, essentially what it comes down to is the whole Killian Freya thing. I mean, that kind of put a damper and everything, and leaving that wide open, kind of almost you kind of assume that they are going to get together finally, and this curse is going to be broken. But I don't know. That storyline in general was just was kind of it wasn't a very smart idea, because it was it was boring. And, the scenarios were kind of unrealistic. I mean, I know it is a witches show, granted, but some of the things is like that went on during this whole period is like, all right, no, are we going to close this deal or not? Because really, I mean, the stuff that's going on otherwise, I mean, it's interesting, but they seem to want to fall back on that story quite a bit. I mean, this isn't Friends and Ross and Rachel where is it going to happen? It's not going to happen. But they had a lot of filler to make it work. There's not so much filler. They're kind of losing my interest a little bit.
I have to say I totally agree with you, and I really do think that it hurt the show's momentum because, quite frankly, it wasn't that invested in them being together, and they really hadn't gone through so much that I was rooting for them to overcome all of these odds. So for me, they were telling me something that was there, but I just really wasn't rooting for them to surmount all of the odds of true love, if you will.
Well, that's right. So it was almost one of those stories where it's like, all right, boring. I mean, even if like it's because I mean it is obviously geared somewhat at a female viewership, but there are guys that watch it like myself, and a lot of times they can build around it, but they can make it so it's not too cheesy or too boring. But this was just even for the female viewership, they've been finding this boring. So that tells you something.
Absolutely.
So next up, we'll get into more exciting stuff. The Flash and Arrow started this week, brand new, and I was really impressed with the Flash. I mean, I really liked it, and it was I liked how they kind of developed a suit, and they showed pretty much how this I can't remember the name of the machine that obviously blew up and gave Flash his superpowers and gave that criminal some superpowers that kind of control the weather because he was up on the plane. Because when they went after him, like they found the Shelby that was part of the criminal activity, and then they take off on a plane and see a storm happens and this reactor blows up, and all of a sudden this guy's alive again, but he can conjure up a storm for some reason.
Yeah.
But no, it was interesting, and I like the fact that finally, like kind of near the end of the show, the cop who was taking care of Barry, because obviously his father's in jail and his mother's dead, and his father was pinned for the murder even though he didn't commit it, and finally realized, like, oh man, you were telling the truth. This wasn't just a fictional thing.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
So I mean, I think it went pretty well, and of course they gotta kind of play off the love story. Because he's in love with this girl that he grew up with, and now he was in the coma for I think it was like 9 months, and he wakes up and now she's dating the pretty boy cop. Is like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, he has some things to kind of overcome in his personal life. I have to say, I too was very impressed. I kind of had mid-range expectations, but I was super blown away by it. I felt like it was conjuring up old school Smallville. It was light. It was energetic. It had a lot of high energy, and I have to say, I'm still a little iffy on Grant Gustin as the Flash. I feel a little more sold on it after seeing this than I was before. But for me, the supporting cast and two particular players, there are some people who are still a little miscast, but Jesse L. Martin, who played Detective West, and Candace Patton, who played Iris, Barry's basically kind of the girl he grew up with, and this guy who was his adoptive father.
Right.
They were spectacular. I thought they were just perfect. I loved the whole relationship between them and their energy with Barry. I really think that was really crucial to get right, and that for me was the highlight of the entire show.
Okay, well, I can see, like I said, I mean, like I was just like, I wasn't sure what to expect, honestly, when I first watched it. So my expectations weren't high or low. They were just kind of like, meh. We'll see what happens, And I was pleasantly surprised, and obviously we knew it was going to happen, especially in the previews where they tied the Flash and the Arrow. And no, I love the fact that like he runs all the way to Starling City, and he's talking to Flash, talking to Arrow, and he says, "Well, you just didn't run 600 miles just to say hi."
That was funny.
So I mean, there's got to be a little bit comic relief, but I mean, it's gonna be a connector, and the fact that I can't remember. I think it was a Flash or was it the Flash of the Arrow? He actually did this time around where he actually did talk to Felicity for a few minutes.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember because maybe it was just they made it a flashback because I think I recall her asking like, "Did you find any new information?" But it wasn't face to face. I think it was like over
on the phone.
Yeah, I believe. I'm like 100% of that. Like it might have been from Arrow showing that, because obviously at the end of Arrow they show the connection. They show the Flash show up.
Right.
It was like one of the last scenes. Now the Arrow, on the other hand, we'll move on to that next. And as much as Roy was extremely annoying, now when he's all suited up, he more plays the part. And I'm actually a little bit more interested in the Red Arrow now. Now that he's got the whole suit and whole getup. Mainly because it makes him more fit. Go ahead.
I was saying that I'm glad that they finally got him transitioned into being super quote unquote. But I don't know. It's I'm glad. I think less is more with that character, and I'm glad that they only had him he hooked around a little bit. But other than that, he did one of those saves. But I don't know. He's still not a character that has particularly pricked my interest.
You know what? Give it a few more episodes. I think you might, just because, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Roy to begin with either. But now with the whole student get up, I think since it's more official, I'm not sure how much they're going to develop him, because right now he's just Arrow's kind of little lackey, right? No, go do this. Okay. And no, PC's out of there. So. But I know one scene that must have made you extremely happy is the finally the Arrow and Felicity kiss.
I was so excited.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I was like, when I saw this happen, I was like, okay, I'm really interested to see what it's going to say about this, because it finally happened.
I was surprised too that it happened. It kind of it was a great moment. I definitely enjoyed it. I was very excited for Felicity, and I felt it was romantic. I felt like Oliver as a whole in this episode seemed a little more light, a tad. I mean, I'm being a tad more jovial, but I really enjoyed his connection with Felicity in this episode, and I thought they had laid the groundwork early in the episode for possibly a kiss, but I was surprised by that. I don't know what it means for the future of the relationship, but I was very excited. And I was also excited that Brandon Routh's character, who's coming in making a play to take over Queen Consolidated. I thought he and Felicity had a good energy, too.
See, that's what I was going to get to next. Was all of a sudden, like, hi, it's Superman and Arrow. And so... I mean, I kind of like the fact that I'm not sure if he's an evil character or if he's going to be an evil character, because I mean they didn't give too much background except his really cheesy meeting. Oh, if you look at this and this and no. Oh hell no! But just the kind of pompous like, oh I got here quick because I keep it in my helicopter. Hope you don't mind if I park on your roof, like, you know. So I was like, oh man, like here we go with the cheese, right?
Yeah, I thought he's kind of playing out that whole showboaty rich guy routine, which Oliver, well, not right now is rich, but was a formerly rich guy who felt all this pangs of a lot of guilt, and he really wasn't enjoying anything about having his status, or really basically doing it to fund his crusade. But I felt it was kind of nice to see a guy happy on the show.
Yeah. And I like the fact that she's working in that electronics store.
Yes.
And then they call her. You just find it's like kind of working right now.
Yes, I love when she snapped back at him. Snapped at the team. That was funny, and just the fact seeing her in the store was very. It was fun. Felicity's one of those characters you can kind of put anywhere in any kind of situation, and she livens it up and makes it feel real. It was interesting too, was when I was watching her in the, I guess it was kind of like it was a software store, that I was reminded that the actress last season was still working in a PetSmart until they'd given her a contract.
Right.
And so I thought that's kind of like similar to the uniform they wear at PetSmart. I was thinking, man, who did not walk into the PetSmart and say, man, is that person could be a star, you know? It's crazy how she went from being working at PetSmart, and now she's the star of one of the stars of the show.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just because that's the thing is you never know where these people can come from. But the whole show, it was again, this one wasn't too bad, but again, it was just a little boring. I mean, the only thing that kind of made it cool was like,